been quite a whirlwind. That's all I can say. Man,
Oh,
I'm telling you, man, it's like since 12/12 has just been wow. I don't even know what to say. How long is that? 6 weeks? Yeah, six
yeah,
weeks.
yeah.
Come on, man. Let's go. Okay, they're starting to come in now. Yeah. All right. So I only have one. Well, we had a show we produced on earlier, Melissa Dehan's Real Talk. It was a good show. But this is the only show we have today. And I know because it's going to be such an incredible amount of energy coming through that we're all going to have to go take a rest and be horizontal the rest of the day. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know who these crazy sisters are, I would highly recommend you go to Julia Lyden's page yesterday and look at the video that they did on the beach, which pretty much says it all. This is Julie and Karen. These are dear friends of mine. We have some history together, and there's two of quite a few people that we've met in person, or that I have. Oh, yeah, you met Morgan too. Karen met Morgan.
Yes. Yeah, I haven't met Morgan yet.
Yeah. So right on. Yeah. So okay. So just so everybody knows, we went to well, Julie and I did a couple of 2-3 shows, and then we were down in South Florida, and not South Florida, but Sarasota area, and we were doing a conference in January, and then we were roaming around trying to figure out how the hell are we going to make it, and then Morgan says, I got to go. I can't live in this box. We were living in that little RV that we were renting. And so the day before she was flying out, we planned, you were down there visiting Karen with some other ladies, beautiful ladies, doing like a retreat where you're at now and St. Pete Beach. And so we went over there and we sat down right where y'all were at. And before the show even started, Karen, who I didn't even know, not like consciously.
At least not this lifetime.
Well, that's what I mean. Not consciously. But I did. But like when I came in, it was like everything was just like perfect. So I knew something was going on. Plus, I just knew with everything the way it was happening. And then Karen, before the show even started, said, I would like to gift you and Morgan to stay here because I'm leaving tomorrow. And, for a month or two or whatever. And I'm like, wow, wow. So the next morning I take Morgan to the airport, go back to the hotel, get my stuff, come over, pull up at Karen's house, and she's jumping into an Uber. And it was like, you can't make this stuff up, man.
No.
I think that was, what was that, at 111? There was something.
It was literally 111, yeah. Because because I remember you told me what time, and I was running over there to try to see you before, and I literally pulled up behind her as she's jumping in the Uber. So then Karen came by our place very quick, like a thief in the night, man. Just came in. I woke up the next morning, she's already gone. You left me that stuff. I got to get some more of that stuff though, because every time I drank it, I felt like I was the Energizer Bunny.
Excellent.
I don't know what that stuff is, but Morgan was kind of glad that I wasn't drinking it anymore because it was acting like I was acting like an adolescent who just hit his hormones, chasing around the house. It's good to see y'all. It's great to do this show today with both y'all. I was hoping Karen would pop in. I figured she might just pop in for like a minute and go, hey, because Karen's like Morgan. She doesn't like being on the camera. So, you guys are both from up north, Minnesota. Y'all met up there.
Yeah.
I remember the story.
Yeah.
And then Karen went down to St. Pete and acquired a really cool place, very cool place on St. Pete Beach, which is really for such a densely populated area, because I lived in Tampa 3 times. It's like a little village all by itself. Once you go over that bridge, it's like a little quaint little town. You could put that almost anywhere. And then you guys, and you actually got the place. Part of it, I think, was specifically to bring people together, and so you guys had, I think there was 5 women, and they had kind of imprinted the divine feminine onto the property which has this incredible tree, by the way, out front that I can't remember what his name is because he told me it starts with a W, but I can't remember what it is. But anyway, so I go over there, and Karen, and I didn't know her very well. Of course, most of this information was telepathic. And the craziest thing happened. I don't know if I ever said this online, but so I took Morgan to the airport. I came over. I saw Karen. We hugged. She went to the airport. I went inside, got some stuff together, and I laid on the couch because Karen said, "Oh, I think the Divine Masculine has to kind of imprint this place." You go in the place, it's like walking into a hotel. I mean, the orderliness, everything, the way it's structured, the Buddha in the back, which is a pretty interesting experience I had a couple of months later when I was there. But anyway, I went in, I laid on the couch, and for 2 hours I couldn't get up. Like I laid down, and like there was like a hand or a bunch of hands holding me down. And the Mother Goddess energy came in, and then for 2 hours, I just took in this information. I had all these bodily sensations. I mean, it was off the hook. So then, after I recovered, right before the sun started to go down, I walked down to the beach, which is like a 5-minute walk. And I walked down to the beach, and there's this big bright sun, probably about like I don't know, probably like. How do you say that? Like maybe 10 o'clock high, like maybe at not a 45, but like a 33-degree angle. And I'm looking at the sun, and all these people are around, and all these colors are coming out of it, like purple. I mean, like off-planet colors too. They weren't like pastels. They were like metallic pastels. So I saw this purple and this magenta and blues and all these different shades of gold and orange. And I'm looking at the sun. I'm looking at all these people. I'm like, God, don't y'all see this? Like, can't you see what I'm looking at? And then I looked to the right of the sun, and there was some clouds in the air. And then this hole opened up, a portal opened up to the right of the sun, and all this stuff came out. You can't make this stuff up, man. And then again, I'm looking at everybody on the beach. I'm like looking at them going, don't you see what I'm looking at? Oh, but that's kind of how we all came together, and
That is
beautiful experience.
That is the magic of the place, no question.
Yeah.
You can feel the energy the minute you arrive, and it's different.
Yeah.
I bought this place based 100% on faith.
Yeah.
And trust. Didn't have to do any research whatsoever. Just showed up at the tree, spoke to me, and the Buddha, of course. The Buddha made the Buddha conditional on the purchase.
She wrote it in. The Buddha had to come with the house.
The Buddha was with the house, and then you said, I'll buy the house, but leave the Buddha.
And as a result of that, when I closed, all the contents came with it.
Oh, all of that was there, included in addition to the Buddha.
Everything was gifted, and
wow. So that's
energy,
validation.
The energy here, and what speaks to us, and the portals you see when you go to the water, they open up all the time. We feel like we're going through different vortexes all the time. Like the conditions change, like you're walking through membranes.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're meant to have all these various experiences, and the energy vibration is so high here that you're able to notice it and experience it. So it's very open.
Oh, I know. I mean, I can tell you, I had numerous, because we had that RV, because we got stuck because of COVID. And then Karen said, hey, you can stay longer. And I said, yeah, we can help you out a little bit, and so we were actually, and neither was very expensive, but we were having to pay for the RV because we couldn't just like take it back, all the way to Arkansas. And we really couldn't move anywhere. The COVID thing hit. So I started broadcasting in the RV because of the signal and just because of the ambience, right? And the tree's right outside the window, and I keep hearing stuff, and all this stuff starts happening to me. So I would go on walks, and there's a park down the street, and I went down there one day, and I literally saw a portal open in the park. That happened. Then there was I saw like this. It looked like I guess like what do you call it? Like a grid line or a meridian or something. I'm walking down the street and I see these lines, and I'm like, what the hell? The second day I was there, it's the first and only time I saw a fairy in the tree. the first or second night I was there, I saw a freaking fairy, literally. And I was like, whoa, you know? And then the other thing that happened, what was it? Oh, and then one night, Karen knows about this because she's the one that told me about it. So Morgan and I, of course, we're doing our thing, and there was so much stuff going on in the first part of 2020. And every time and this has happened to us since 2017 when she first came over, whenever we would be moving energy or stuff would be happening or whatever the case is, the weather would correspond. So we're sitting there one night and we have some major stuff going on. We had dragons, we had reptilians while we were there. We had so many different experiences, you know, with the elevation of masculine and feminine and just sacred sexuality. Woo, 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 woo. That was real good. I hope we didn't move too much of your furniture around. I'm kidding. Yeah, Morgan was sunbathing in the back, and a black snake came and like cornered her in the back of the house. But this one night we did something, and I don't remember what it was. And this freaky ass storm came in, right? Like the storm came literally up the street. Like everywhere else around was clear, and there was this little mini hurricane that came up the street right over the house. And then Karen sends me a note. She says, "Oh my God, brother, look at this." I think she sent me a picture. I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah." You know, so there's a very, very special place, that portal. And I think it also says a lot for, especially where two or more gather. Like when y'all first went down there, the five of y'all, where you set intention. I mean, this isn't bullshit. You know, we set intention, and we're working with the elements and the earth and a location such as that, which obviously had some history with that tree out front. It works. It really does.
Well, when I came to visit you in Arkansas too, you kept talking about the triad, the three, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just think the whole energy of the collective, where three or more are gathered,
Yeah.
and we're seeing, I mean, even with us together with two people, the energy is all amplified, you know. And then when you have that triad, it's like quadruple. I mean, it's like it goes exponentially. So there's a lot. There's a lot to experience through that, and see, you know, how empowered we can be through our connectiveness. So
yeah, that's true. You're very true about that, because we experienced that in Sedona in September and the first part of October. And Morgan actually, when we do our nightly things, she actually started pulling in this information. Like, you're going to go meet, you've got the Trinity energy frequency. You're going to meet these other couples in Sedona. You're going to meet some androgynous beings that carry it. And oh my God, it all happened. So what you're saying is very true, because the math is not 1 + 1 = 2. Now it's like 1 + 1 = 3. And then from there, exponentially, it just blows up. Yeah.
And I've always gotten that it's the three shall become one, not the two. That we got hoodwinked with that. Yeah. And that's what we're living now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and it seemed to really take off last year, and it looks like it's really taken off now. And what is that? You know, what is that Trinity energy? I mean, it's so many different things. We've met what do we call couples, or two people that are connected non-romantically, that are carrying this energy. We've met individuals that are carrying this energy. We've met same-sex couples carrying this energy. I mean, this is not about the superficial, what it looks like. This is actually a frequency that's being spread out. And I think it really took a big jump here recently as well. So have you guys had any, I want to mention that too, while we're staying at Karen's house, Morgan just put the message up. Karen would always message, tuning into what's happening, and energetically in the house and with us, right? And I remember 2-3 times in between shows sitting on the steps of the RV talking to Karen about what's happening. And either I would call her or she'd call me. And it's like, you know, everything is, we're reading off the same page. So you can't make that stuff up, you know. We have to give it the credence it deserves. So what's been going on with y'all this year? What's been happening? You know, I mean, Not well, yeah. Since I don't know, 12. I mean, have you guys been going through the rocket speed of variations and self-realizations and what the F am I doing here?
Hey, F is the best word to say, by the way.
You say whatever you want to say.
It is. Well, in our awareness, 2020 was all about obviously the clear vision. And I mean, COVID gifted so many, even all of those that thought we were, but it really did cut away so much of illusion if you allowed it to, and didn't get caught up in the drama and story that's playing out there. This is such an inside job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
And so, literally, we're all learning to walk as masters again, being in this world, not of it.
Yeah.
And it's, I feel like there's, I don't know if I want to say tests, but there were like pulse points last year. Let's see where they really are.
Yeah.
Not where they think they are, but where are they really? When they're faced up against whatever, and a lot of it has to do with fear. How do you respond? Are you going to stay in that soul-centered core? Or are you going to get pulled off your center? And if you do, that's cool. That's all good. But do you recognize it? And do you quickly shift back into that soul-centered place?
Yeah.
And that was part of our mastery. Well, 2021, I mean, training wheels are off. It's go time here.
Yeah.
And kind of what I was sharing with somebody this morning, the way we've used, let's say, our knowing or our awareness, it is different now because we used to have a sense, right? A knowing, and then we would go. And in a way that was helping the human let go, right? So soul says, oh, it's okay, human. I got it. We're good. We're good. And just kind of usher it along. And then the human's like scratching, going, are you sure? I don't know if I trust you. You've sent me down here for eons and it didn't work out well.
Yeah, it's like that. Have you seen that meme where the kid and the adult are on the roller coaster and they're coming down and the kid's like screaming and the adult's laughing at the kid? And I think they say the higher self and the human or something like that.
Yeah. Well, that's really it. And now, at this point in the journey,
it's the now.
It is the now. And now, this energy is go.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you'll know.
Yeah.
So it's really different. This is a walk of faith.
It's unscripted. It's unscripted, and we have to just trust that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a kick out of talking to Sandra Walter a couple of weeks ago on the show. And kind of talking about the same time period, like post 12/12. And she said, and I said something to her about, do you get triggered or, you always seem to be like, she's like, oh my God, yes, I do, brother, And then she said that, anyway, I can't remember the verbatim, but what she said was, she said, this energy has kind of brought everything, almost like a magnifying glass or a magnifying mirror to your face, right? And she said, so even we call ourselves light workers and way showers and star seeds, and we kind of stand on that. She said, this is an energy that everyone's crown's got to come off of their head, And I'm like, yeah. So it's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like the playing field's being leveled. Yeah.
Every day you chop wood, carry water. Every day you are looking at you.
Yeah.
And you may like what you see some days, and you may not like what you see some days.
Well,
and I think
moment to moment. It's
right.
Really, that reflection moment to moment.
That's a good point, though. Karen, that's a good point, because it's like you can't take you can't take, well, I'll say it's good for one thing. Okay, let's say I projected this morning. I'm in a new moment now. I don't have to take that with me. I can say, oh, okay, I did that. But it's also the good stuff. It's like you can't rest on your laurels. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm seeing happening. Obviously with this political stuff, and of course with the COVID and the related stuff that comes from that. When you say you really get a good look at yourself, I think what we're kind of being faced with is when we look at others that are ourselves. So if I look at Trump, or if I look at Biden, or if I look at Fauci, or if I look at anybody, and I have, oh my God, they're assholes or whatever, I'm talking about myself. And we used to say this, in these circles, these cliches, and, but now we're actually being forced, or, well, we're being forced, and we can flow into it. But if not, we're going to let go or be dragged. Right. I mean, we have to face
it really
reality.
is that. And we are being asked to live it.
Yeah.
You are walking it now. There is no more talking it. People know immediately where you're at. And the body, I just want to kind of bring this in because I feel it's worth sharing. And again, I'm not sharing anything most people don't know. Yeah. I'm just maybe giving it a different verbiage, maybe a slightly different perspective. So the body's feeling computer is heightened beyond measure. So you can feel it, but in order to really work with your divine sacred union partner, your body, you must be present. Yeah. You must be present with it, and you must be shaking hands with it and saying, hey, way to go, partner. We're doing a good job together. Let's keep going. And wherever there is this discordant energy between you and your physical vehicle, it's letting you know. It talks loudly right now.
So even if you have those intersection points with others, they're bringing it to your attention that it's within you to clear. And what I find is if you bring a voice to it and acknowledge it, and even talk it through with that other person, you clearing yours also eases them to look at it and clear it as well. So there's this expanded way of moving through it as it's brought to your attention.
Yeah.
And I think what we're really noticing is that we had an experience over in Stuart, Florida this weekend with another soul sister, or actually she came over here the weekend before. And it was the three again. And wow, she would start to say, we did heavy processing looking at ourselves. And she would start going through something. Immediately, it would clear within all of us.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I was going to say too, is yes, that's like step two to me. Like step one is like, well, going back to what Karen said a while ago, this moment by moment thing. And then something about the embodiment, which is, a lot of people use the term authentic or raw, real. But there's something about just talking about it, right? Like just saying, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I downloaded. No, not about right or wrong.
No.
Just saying, this is this is new awareness for me. And there's something to me, and I may be wrong, but it's just what I picked up on over the last few months, where maybe it's because we've expanded the quantum field, but it's like when you say something, the transformation, the level of transformation is already in motion. You know what I mean? It used to be you become aware, and then you go to work, and then eventually there's transformation. But now it's like when you talk about stuff, not all the time, but sometimes it just creates this really pure, down to earth, humans included code that is feeding not just us, but I think it's actually feeding our higher aspects. And as we've been told, and I've seen other people talking about it, is that they're learning from us as we've learned from them, and they can't they do not have another way to gain this information in code but by our experience. So I think the human, for all we've been through, is really leveling up now.
I would agree. There's nothing that beats experience here in the physical. And so when you have an experience, you know it.
Hmm.
And you can read about it, you can whatever, but you know it once you've experienced it.
Yeah.
And that all these experiences we've had in, let's say, all of our times are accessible to us now. And that's the other thing. Like, I just sit back in awe listening to people do soul speak, I call it.
Yeah.
You know, like the soul is just taking over the human's mouth and going blah blah blah. All this profound stuff's coming out, and sometimes I just have to interrupt the human and go, "Excuse me, did you hear what you just said?"
But you know, that used to happen too over the last few years. I remember, like, you know, when I was more active, like in one-to-one contact, I would be talking to somebody, like say about on Messenger, and then they would just out of the blue just say something. And there were several times that I know for sure. There's a couple of times I even said, I don't know why I wrote that. So there's something about it was the higher self was already coming in. And of course, what you're talking about, I've been playing with this remix for years, you know, for this little radio show. I put up excerpts of the show, excerpts of people's spirit talks, music and light language and all these different things. And what I notice, is the most powerful, engaging part of it seems to be when someone's either doing a spirit talk by themselves, like walking down the beach or whatever, and I put a little music behind it, or it's an excerpt from a show like this with a little music behind it, but somebody's kind of gone into a soliloquy. They kind of like gone into that spirit talk that you're talking about. That seems to be the strongest pull, you know? And then I think the other thing too, and we've played with this a little bit on the show, is where like we had 2 or 3 different groups. There were 4, 5, 6 women apiece, and they get together like y'all do. And I said to the first group, I said, hey, that's great, because they wrote me a message and they're like, thank you for connecting us. And 2 of us are in Australia, 2 are in Canada, one's in here, one's there. And we work together. And I said, well, that would be really cool if we could get you on the show and you could just bring us into your world. You know, I think that's another thing. All of this, particularly women, okay, we know they've been leading the way. That's just the way it is. They've been congealing and doing this work individually, in pairs, and in these groups. And I think that is a frequency or a collection of frequencies that needs to be shared. And we've actually played with it, and it's been very effective. And on that note, I know you guys have done work because I know your story. So up in Minnesota, it all kind of started. Okay. Then of course I met y'all down there in St. Pete Beach. So my question is, what do y'all do when you get together? I mean, is it like a spontaneous combustion of energy and you just say, okay, I mean, do you have specific intent? I mean, yeah, I know you're there to grow and expand, but
Right.
what do you guys do?
I would say that we allow an experience as it knows itself is the verbiage we get. Everything is experiencing as it knows itself. Everything is having an ever greater experience of itself. And we're in that equation. And so we allow to show up whatever wants to show up. There might be a sense or something that wants to be put out as, you know, I say code, to set that, but it's not setting an intent any longer in the
Yeah.
old way we used to do
Yeah, I
it.
got you.
It is really about showing up and seeing what wants to be experienced
Yeah.
as a soul collective. So there's, in the last week, all I kept hearing is collective soul, collective soul. There's a huge shift, collective soul, collective soul, and I'm like, of course, anybody knows me, I'm really into music. So I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a group named Collective Soul. I know that. And so I go Google it again. I'm like, the song from the 1970s, it's called Shine. That's the name of the song.
Oh.
And it's fun to go experience that again. But this collective soul and collaboration,
Yeah.
which are all what Soulogy has been birthed from.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it is really, it's almost like I see it like an amplifier. And let's say we're all having meetings at night going, whoa, this is getting good. Almost Earth now.
Yeah.
We know what's supposed to be. We're just gonna bring it on in. And people that aren't there yet are going, oh my gosh, what's happening? You know? But really, soul, you got this.
Yeah.
And I actually had this song coming in called The Souls Rule the World.
Yeah.
Now the souls rule the world. Doesn't matter what it looks like. The souls are in control.
Yeah.
But I think the essence of the group really is to show up and be authentic and allow whatever comes in the moment. And it could be what you've observed in terms of energy patterns, what you've experienced. And what we see is that much of that experience resonates across the group. It's not as unique as we believe them to be. So, you know, yeah.
And even
I have to laugh because I've just been poking Kieran to just go.
Well, she's evidently come out of her cocoon now. There's no doubt about that.
Well, you cannot not hanging out with me.
But you know, like, okay, I love that too, because that actually explains what I haven't verbalized, which is you don't have an intention.
No.
It's affecting everybody in all aspects of our lives, like traveling, scheduling. You don't have an intention. You come together to see what wants to present itself, right? So I think that says it perfectly. And then the other thing that you said, I think that's important. So when you come together, you realize, like you said, that you in this group, for instance, you convey what you've received and you find out that you're not the only one, right? And then you take it further, right? Because like what you're talking about with the souls being in control, like Morgan put up a post last night, late or early this morning, actually it's like 3 a.m, which was basically encapsulating some stuff that happened on the 21st when we put our hands together, early in the 21st, after midnight of the 20th. And I've seen a couple other people say it in different ways. And now you've just pretty much said the same thing. Like, regardless of all this stuff going on out there, whatever that is, you know, media, government, there is this knowing that we actually have crossed the 51% mark, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's going to be an interesting year.
It is. And how it was sharing itself with us, it kept saying, this year is 21 and done.
21 and done.
Okay, 21 and done. So you got that 20 clear vision, you got the oneness, and we're done with the rest of this other stuff.
Yeah.
And so a lot of what this year is going to continue to be, and I know a lot of people, and my heart goes out, a lot of people had a very challenging year last year.
Yeah.
Because it was time to let go of this illusion of a life and move back into living, which is all about now. And now, I always say being, when you're in a being doesn't know what being's going to do next. You know, there is no plan, really. We also heard, ditch any plans that you have. It will be only as it can.
Yeah.
And so that energy is going to get louder and stronger. Now, I will share, there's 3 words we were given for this year. And the overall energy is going to be renovate, excavate, or destroy. The souls get to decide, or, you know, is it going to be renovate when something's shown to you? Are you going to renovate? Are you going to, you know, clean up illusion? Or is it going to take an excavating?
Mm-hmm.
Or does the universe have to do a Crocodile Dundee and go, that's not a knife, this is a knife?
That was good. That was good. I like.
Renovate.
Well, and I don't know. We kind of talked about this, but so you were showing me something before we got online.
Mm-hmm.
A piece of well, and I think this is another thing that's really important. Is I think there's a lot more people getting downloads than we think because we've all been reluctant, no matter how outgoing we are and extroverted, like Julie and me, we all have our doubts. Like it's one thing to share it in a small group, but it's another thing to put it out there. And I really think that it's important. And because I've received so many messages, over the years when a guest would come on and share these things from a reluctant standpoint, hesitant, self-conscious, but it lights people up. They're like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one, or you know what I mean? Or it allows them to start to share something that they may have that's a different theme, but it's still coming in that sacred wisdom, that infinite intelligence and so on. But I don't know if you want to kind of share
We
your,
can kind of share this.
your download from, was it from last night, Karen?
This is something that came in on Saturday.
Here,
So if you want to just
I'm going to do that.
okay, we can kind of breathe into the energy of what is written here. And again, this all started Saturday morning. We were going to go over from the Gulf to the Atlantic side of Florida. And we were shown a butterfly. And so we're outside and I'm like, it is obvious. This butterfly is fluttering. And we're all excited. We're like, thank you for the message. And then Karen came out and it came back so that she could experience it as well. Wow. So we're like, oh, nice, a butterfly. And then we get in the car and there's actually a song called, here's my Rolodex of music coming in again, called She's a Butterfly. And it's by Martina McBride. Okay. And it's a really empowering feminine song. If anybody wants to start practicing flapping their wings, listen to that song and go. So anyway, we start out on our journey and we are guided to stop at a garage sale. And so we stopped there and I'll be darned, this stationery was waiting there for me, with the butterflies on it.
Oh, on the left side?
Yeah, on that left side. And so I also got a set of colored pencils. I look at everything on a package because it's all talking to me.
Right. It
said Rainbow. That was the brand, Rainbow. And it was old. It had history. It was 39 cents. Wow. So, it was a while back. Yeah. And so Karen and I are driving and I just pull those out and I basically say hand knows. My hand knows. Sometimes my human doesn't, and that gets my human out of the way. And I start just bringing in this. There's like a portal in there. Let me move it over a little bit. Can you see that? Here we go.
Yeah, I got you.
There,
Yeah,
it's a portal, but look at all the diamonds.
Yeah, I saw that firsthand. The diamonds. It's the first thing I saw.
Yeah.
Almost like a diamond DNA.
I feel that, Todd. See, but now you're adding to the knowing, I call it. Yeah. You're bringing in, oh yeah, I remember that. And and there's your soul piece. And that's how the experiences happen. It is Knights of the Round Table now. Everybody comes with their own unique soul energy and soul expression, and it adds to the whole and it blesses the whole. And so anyway, then we go, we're at the place and when I went to that, She's a Collective Soul, their album cover is a butterfly. Spirits. Okay, how many more messages you need? And then we're taking a walk, and I go, Karen, get your camera out. We're labeling her the cosmic photographer, by the way. She's got a lovely eye for essence pictures. But there was this mailbox with a black and white butterfly on it, you know? And it was just like all these things, these like attract likes messages are just coming in fast and furious now. And so I had, handed her on all these diamonds. Well, I spoke with my soul sister this morning and she said, Julie, there is today, there is a strong diamond force energy coming in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, this is our soul collective. We're like all the networks have linked back up.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, look at Han knew this yesterday. You know?
Yeah, I saw somebody, I think it was Pamela Johnson. Somebody put up a post, and I know it was a sister, and I can't remember what the post was. It was just today. And Pamela Johnson, our friend from Mexico, who's been connected a long, long time, she said something, or somebody said something about this neural network. And I don't remember the exact context of the way, but I do remember the context. I don't remember the exact words, but it was talking about the same kind of thing, like how profound and prolific and formidable it was, right?
Right.
So did Karen, did you say you had a download this morning that correlated with this as well?
Look at it flying.
Just what I kept seeing come through for the diamonds again was just how important the collective is. 3 or more that gather, and I kept seeing that energy was being amplified. And again, you see it in the messages and signs all around you. So I don't know, just observe everything. Everything is a sign. I mean, it's people say they wait for miracles. Well, every second is a miracle if you're in tune, and have your antenna out to see it, and to observe it and experience it and feel it. So, and when one notices it, share it. Be more open, and like you said, be more open to the sharing, because that sharing expands the experience tenfold.
Well, it's like that. Yeah, we watched a series last night, just to chill out and process, after this weekend. It was called Queen's Gambit, Queen's something.
Yes.
So it was a 7-part, and so we ended up watching the whole thing. You're like, oh, we'll just watch 2 more, and then you end up watching the whole thing.
Yeah.
But when I was, I used to read a lot from I don't know, from day 1 until about 40, a lot, like 2-3 books a week. And I loved reading, and I loved the way books smell, and I just love the imagination involved, the connection. And I really don't do it much anymore. But when I was watching this movie, she loved books, but that show itself was like a book, right? It was like very, very much like what you're talking about. And now that I'm listening to you both, I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. It's like, what page are you on, right? Because on that page, everything is there. And what do you flip back? You flip forward? No, you're actually, everything is there. I've speed read a lot of the stuff I've done, and you do miss some stuff. So it's also like watching a movie the second time. When you go watch a movie the second time, you notice all this other stuff. There's so much on the page talking to us, to Karen's point, which, staying over there for those 4 months, 5 months, that was a perfect example. And we hardly even left the lot, the house lot, unless I was walking up to the store, but yeah, it's all right there. And you're right. Like that example with the butterfly on the album cover, and then definitely the colors named rainbow that are, kind of have an older, archaic, ancient, less contemporary type of theme. Yeah.
Well, it could, if you see something, it could trigger something that you need to clear.
Yeah.
And what you'll find is you will have had an experience in the past, and not only one experience, you'll have a trail of them. So the point is to go back and glean whatever that message is.
Yeah.
Not go back, just glance back. Just take a note of it, stay in the present, and take that, clear it, and it'll unravel everything from that point forward, and you'll be able to stay in the now. So
Yeah.
if you find yourself going back, or if you find yourself looking too much for the plan or into the future, you're not in your center.
Yeah.
Come back, watch for the signs, and take it from there.
Yeah. And let me ask y'all about this too, because I noticed this too. This just happened to me last night, but it's happened before, and I'm sure it's happened to other people. But along those same lines of being present. So if you think about the past is represented to some degree by what? Well, in the past, there were certain experiences that we had that were the same thing over and over, repetitive. We've all been there. An example would be, I've been in 3 relationships in my life, and they were all the same at the end of the day. Different people, you know what I mean? We have the same loop playing until you go down the road Karen's talking about. But what I noticed yesterday with one of my kids, so they hit me up, and I kind of said, we'll talk about it when I'm ready in a couple of days, because there was a part of me that couldn't deal with it because there was too many old, old patterns coming to the surface going, hey, you need to do this. You're a dad, and and all that stuff. Right. And what I'm getting at is, long story short, and I'm not, I've noticed this in other people. I've noticed it in, Morgan, she's pointed out to me in her own experience. I've seen other people doing it, which is, when you don't know what to do, don't do anything. It's okay. And then, just like you said, show up and see what happens. So I ended up having a conversation with her, my daughter, yesterday. And I didn't push anything. I didn't initiate anything. And her energy was the same. It matched. So when we looked at everything, this problem, okay, we looked at everything, and I just go, sounds like you got it all worked out. Yeah, I know, but what if? But that's what I'm saying. It's like what you said about showing up, seeing what's going to present itself versus coming in, with the scheduling, with the hamster on the wheel, with the old patterns and behaviors. To me, that represents the past. And we're in new ground now, and I think we're feeling our way. Does that make sense to y'all?
It makes perfect
yes.
sense.
Yeah.
And so much, our experiences, the reason why they held us in that loop, in my opinion, is because we had feelings associated with them.
Yeah.
And underneath those feelings were emotions, unacknowledged emotions.
Yeah.
And in my world, we've talked about this, I feel like there's 4. And most people don't want to deal with that anger, and again, that anger is not becoming it. It is feeling, just letting it ride energy and give it a voice and let it go. Yeah. And then there's that sadness sometimes that comes behind anger, or worry, not becoming worried, but just feeling, wow, you hear something that feels alarming, you go, whoa, I feel worried. Well, all of a sudden you're not, you just gave it a voice. Yeah. And then the last one is lonely. Yeah. And so if we can kind of just breathing moves this emotion. And the E is in motion this year. The E, the energy of emotion and E, energy in motion, is moving at such a rapid pace now. You have no more time to procrastinate. You have no more time. They literally say that the number 5, which is E, is wake up immediately. There is no more time to waste.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the universe telling us that.
Yeah.
And then behind it, it says, you said you will. I hold you to that.
Yeah.
And that will of the soul, that yes, we said before we came in, we're being held to that.
Mm-hmm.
Being saying, you know, you promised you would let go of this illusion
Yeah.
this time
Yeah.
and remember who you are. And that's really, we're all in varying degrees within
Yeah.
that.
Well, at least it looks that way, you know.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah. And this is another thing I noticed too. I'd like to get y'all's take on this because, of course, in Minneapolis, obviously there was a big deal first part of the year. You know, you were there,
Mm-hmm.
and of course around the country, around the world, and so on. And going back to Sandra's comment earlier the month about the remove the crown and the playing field being leveled, we've seen a lot of, and we've seen it off and on, projection and polarization, kind of extreme expressions and comments in the light worker circles, you know. And so that creates a lot of energies back and forth, projectiles going this way and bombs going back that way. And so what I was getting at is, like, I was started to write something today about it, and I probably will. It's something along the lines of, if necessary, every single thing, every belief that you have, everything that you can't let go of is going to be taken away. Period. And I don't think it has to be that way.
No, you can renovate it.
Yeah, I don't think it has to. Yeah, like it's exactly rehab, right? Reset, rehab, renew. But these attachments, like I did a show with Mark McNichol the other day, and one of my friends, she pulled a quote out from it. I don't even remember saying it. Something to the effect, I'd rather be aligned with those that that I'm at odds with than with those that tell me who to be at odds with.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of, hey, come jump in my basket here. Come live in my box here and be with me, which means you're separate from these other people because, you've seen the post on people's pages. If you don't like Trump or if you don't like Biden, get the F off my page. Unfriend me. I mean, this is like light workers. Come on.
Right.
Like she said, take off your crown. But I mean, and I'm not picking on anyone. What I'm trying to say is, bottom line is what we can't let go of, because you can, you can, like say your connection, the two y'all have, or say me and Morgan, we're not attached. We let go, surrender to the embrace. So it's there. It's just freedom. It's just sovereignty in a mutual way. But do you see that? Do you see that where these things, these absolutes that we throw down on the universe and say, yeah, I'm with you, but this has got to be this way, and those people got to be bad people, and this has got to be this. Do you see that breaking down?
Yeah, it's going to be in our face. We are asked to face everything this year, and this facing energy, it's written all over your face, right? Is everything's going to be in our face.
Yeah.
If we haven't decided to face it, it will be in your face. And so, as part of that, what I experience when people react, and that's really a reaction, it's not really a response,
Right.
because it's coming from a perceived need to feel right and righteous.
That's right.
And that's just true.
Yeah.
And so, because if it doesn't have that need energy, it doesn't matter. There's room for everybody to have a perspective and find their way around here.
Yeah.
And you don't have to make it hard. I think that you don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to know all of it. Just, again, take all the cues that are coming to you, because, hey, the universe is telling you which ones you need to face first. And once you clear those, well, there'll be more behind that, but it doesn't have to be hard. Just allow for the navigation to happen.
Yeah. And I think this is a fine line too. You brought up a good point again, Karen. First of all, I don't think there's anyone, in fact, I know I'll just be an arrogant asshole, but there's nobody on the face of the earth that can figure this shit out.
No.
Right.
And especially with the speed of the downloads and information and code coming in now. Used to be we had a little breathing time. You could like, oh, what happened? And you just kind of like embody it and you figure it out a little bit before the next one hit. But now they're just like, so you just have to be faithful in the sense of knowing that I got it, even though I don't know what the hell it is. But when the time comes and it's needed, it'll be there.
And you said it. To me, that's exactly it. Acknowledge it, give it a voice. You don't even have to understand it, but your body will tell you if you cleared it. If now you noticed it and now you feel better, you know that whatever was there, you took care of in the way that you needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it goes back to, this is an embodiment experience.
Yeah.
It all comes back to the body. Your body is your telemeter. It tells on you.
That's right.
Because it tells on you, I don't feel peaceful. I feel activated. I feel great. It tells you exactly where you're at. But if you haven't made that, that if you're not fully in your body, if you're past or worrying about the future, you're not going to get those cues, as Karen was saying, from your body. And that is, in my opinion, that divine sacred union between you and you has to come first. You must have that intimate experience. And then from that place, you are not worried if someone has a different, because it just means like, oh, wow. Oh,
yeah.
And then you might have feelings about something, but that's on you.
Yeah.
That's your work. That's your job.
It always is. It's always actually on me, right?
And on me. And
that's a good point too, though, is, and I've said this before, one of my favorite souls that came before us was Malcolm X. Not in turn, and not that I had anything wrong with his convictions and his ideologies at all, because I don't. I agree with probably all of it, but it was his personal philosophy, and one of his personal philosophies was, I'm going to learn everything about what seems to be diametrically opposed to my energy. I'm going to put as much research into that as I do my own convictions and the things that serve me. So it's kind of like we can go around and talk to our friends who tell us what we want to hear, but how much time do we give to the friends or whoever that don't tell us what we want to hear? And why do they feel that way? So if I look at, and this is the best example I can think of right now, Biden, Trump, right? Q and non-Q, whatever. I mean, there's validity to both sides. I'm sorry. Now, I don't know which one might have more validity and which one, whatever. It's all a human perception. But the fact is, there is disinformation on both sides. And we could look at this as two family members who are involved in some gossip mongering. We can look at a lot of different situations. So one of the things that I picked up early on when I first reawoke 10 years ago was, the more open-minded you are, the more potential growth you're going to have. But if you just shut things down and, through prejudice or bias, you're shutting yourself down. And I think this is the kind of stuff that's coming up to the surface now. We think it's so-and-so political party is doing this and so-and-so government's doing that to me, or this person doing this to me, or this person. It's not. It's something inside of me that I haven't accepted in oneness. And this is not new age bullshit. This is just, this is the universe, the perfect order of the universe. What goes around comes around, cause and effect, the golden rule, it's walking the talk, like you were saying at the top of the show. We're all being held accountable by ourselves.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's more and more important that we hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah.
not,
That's it.
you know, it is up to us. Ultimately, it's all us, right? It's all us. And so if you are not sure or on, you know, like, oh, I don't know what my next step is. I'm supposed to do something. I'm like, breathe.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do right now. Breathe. Everything happens on breath. And I always say the most enlightening thing you can do is go, I haven't got a freaking clue.
Exactly.
And you
Exactly.
sit there in that not knowing. And you might have emotions that come up and feelings within that. But I'll tell you what, you sit in that dark pit, that dark. Don't always remember knowing. That's all dark is. Don't always remember knowing. Change the
Yeah.
energy around that.
It's kind of
And
like when people say, like you said it earlier, one of y'all did. And so you say, well, how you doing? Great. But how much of the time is that actually in the 95th percentile? Like it's just a patterned response. It's like, you know, who you trying to convince, them or yourself, myself, right? I'll speak in my own terms, versus somebody who says, well, this is how I feel today. I'm a little pissed off about this, and I'm, you know, a little sad about that. And, you know, and I talked to my daughter and some old guilt emotions came up and, you know, but I'm good. You know, I'm good in the sense that I'm on top of my game and consciously, you know, consciously getting more in touch with myself and really consciously creating, as opposed to, you know, running off of these programs embedded in us and these like you said earlier, these reactions that are second nature because we've done them all our lives.
It's a big ticker tape. So
Hmm.
again, when you get the ticker tape, just decide to notice it and
Yeah.
ask for it to, you know, get the learning you need as quickly as possible, make it idiot proof, and then move on to the next.
Yeah.
Not, I'm gonna, you know, put this in my file and deal with it later. Don't deal with it later.
Yeah.
Just acknowledge it, and because you're only compounding it and then making it a larger thing to process through later.
Yeah. And Julie, you said something else too, that when you said give that, when the body speaks, the telemeter speaks, give it the voice. And the first thing I thought of was, yeah, and again, a lot of the stuff that we're doing and we're coming into and that's developing as we allow it to present itself isn't the old methods of communication. It isn't the old processes. It isn't the old modalities. For me, what that really said to me or spoke to me was, again, as the information comes in, you don't always know what it is. You just know it's coming. I don't always know what the pain is or the discomfort. But what I do know is that if I don't even have to give it a voice by conventional terms. Giving it a voice to me is sitting with it, talking to it, whether it talks back to me or not, and just allowing it to be what it is without going, fuck, what the hell did I do? Or what did I eat? Or, you know, I mean, it's just letting it be part of the without judgment, you know, which then can
Absolutely.
correlate to people and exchanges with people and interactions and old grudges and, you know, political opinions. I mean, this goes all the way across the board. None of it is, and I know people are going to get upset, but I mean, evil is a strong part of this massive polarized realm. You know, evil, good, dark, light. But the reality is we're here to bring them all to the middle, and
right, right.
that's just something that the universe isn't going to budge on because the universe didn't create any junk,
Nope.
right?
Nope. And I love what you said, Todd. And this kind of ties back to when you asked, well, what's been going on since 12/12 of last year? What really kicked in is this clearing of the judgment energy.
Yeah. Yes.
Is really, I mean, it is so loud now, and it's so it's really easy to identify. You know, it's like self goes, myself, my soul goes like, And I can't even get it out because it's like, no, we're not doing that.
Well, yeah, and I think that's another thing and I'm guilty. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not, but these judgments we have about others is the best thing about that is there's some type of associated judgment we have within ourselves, just like me with my daughter. She hits me up, 18, 19 years old. It's not an abnormal phone call from a young adult child. I've got 6. This is the youngest. But there was some old, and it wasn't massive, but there was some old guilt things that came in.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, and first thing I did, it was go into a pattern, which I haven't been in a long time, and go to Morgan and say, can I talk to you about this? And she's like, what's there to talk about? And I'm like, oh, okay. So I went back into the cave here, and then I went, okay, boom, 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 everything. Then I had a conversation. Everything's fine. But yeah, I mean, it's the judgment thing normally comes out for me, and I have to say men. I can't speak so much for women, but I don't know. It's more of an arrogance. Like we don't see the judgment we have in ourselves because we take such a arrogant stance. Oh, well, they're immoral, that group over there, and what does that say? That says that I'm moral, right? When the fact is, I come from the same place they do. I'm made in the image just like they do. People can talk about AI. They can talk about fallen angels. That's just a fucking story. That's all it is, that's it. It really is.
Yeah.
This is oneness, unity consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And we're actually, I believe we've been chosen. I believe we've earned it. Every single one of us, no matter who it is. And I believe we've been given an opportunity to do something that's never been done, which is to make this conversion and to expand the level of awareness into new creations in a very dense physical realm, which is like, I mean, that's mind-blowing. It is. It's mind-blowing.
And at some level, haven't we all been waiting eons for this?
Yeah.
We're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I remember this feeling once upon a time.
Hmm.
I remember when we would come together equal and we would all just put our magic together. And wow, see what would explode into the ethers and expand the collective consciousness and then we turn around and go, oh my gosh, check that out. Harry next door got blessed.
That's right. That's right.
It's just so magical because this whatever this is, and part of this is we're going beyond words. It's energy that we're exuding.
Yeah.
And so that is just so pure because the energies don't get misinterpreted. I mean, they're felt.
Yeah.
And as more and more people's alignment happens, it's wow. And one of the things I will share with you, and it doesn't matter if people agree or not, I'm whatever, but this high heart, this universal heart chakra that we were gifted through this ascension process is working differently now. And the high heart doesn't give a, ready, Todd? You're going to like it. Fuck about the human. And its feelings.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. I know what you mean. I totally get that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking
and
back.
It's moving up. It has moved up to the throat. That's why this throat chakra.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree with that.
You cannot not say truth. If you're in a certain space, it isn't a choice not to speak truth anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a certain balance, at least a balance of availability, right? That's available when we do. Right. So there are times. It used to be like, that old meme with Pee Wee Herman. I put it up once a year. It's like, keep that out of my, keep that negativity out of. But it used to be we'd slam the door. you're not in my world anymore because you're not awake. You know, you're not of my frequency. And now it's kind of evolved to uh, I'm not comfortable with that frequency in my sandbox, right? And you know, in love and light, you know, literally, not just like, you know, not with the ulterior, you know, we're not like totally wiping them off the map. We're just saying, hey, you play in a different field of vibration than I do, and that's okay. And I don't know which one's higher or lower, you know, because anyone that thinks, I still say, you know, it's not. There is no there. In my experiences in dimension, you know, there has been levels of, we can call it ego or polarity, but not like this, right? I mean, as we, you know what I mean. If we're going to be in pure oneness, we're all going to be back right where we started, which is great, right? I mean, we're all a big star in the cosmos with the perfect light and sound. But why do you think we came down here?
Right.
For lack of a better way to say it, and I bet I was one of the first ones. I'm a little bored. Let's go see what we can get into, because we know that we have the safety net of all safety nets, and
Yes.
that's you know why I tell people, you know, I'm not going anywhere. I want to be here for 1,500 years. And I believe that a statement like that might be seen as fantastical, but so does teleportation, bilocation, telekinesis. You know, going to Venus for dinner. I mean, these are things that I think are within our grasp, and I don't think that external technology has anything to do with it. I think somebody's going to figure it out, and they're going to do something. It's going to get that word of mouth awareness, and it's just going to spread from, oh, you can do it, I can do it, you can do it, I can do it. And I really think that's what's happening. I don't think it probably be less verbalization and more of an energetic, you know, like a magnet, you know, kind of thing. People just pick up on it. It's contagious. This is the real virus, right?
Yeah, the
The
true
soul.
soul virus. If we're gonna
Mhm.
have a virus, let's do soul.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
So
how long are you guys going to be hanging out like Thelma and Louise running all through Florida raising hell?
well, we are actually leaving back to go to Minneapolis, both
Oh,
of us,
you're
um, in on Thursday. And again, you know, I came down. My awareness was I was going to go work at a place called the Villages. I have the last 5 years in
oh
Denver.
yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
So, and then I was chatting with Karen, and Karen goes, "Oh, Julie," she goes, "Why don't you fly into Tampa and then stay with me a few days?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that feels true, you know." So as things revealed themselves, I never left
Yeah. There you go.
because
That's what
that
happens.
wasn't what this trip was for.
That's what
And
happens.
if I'm not available or, you know, let go of all my human whatever, I would have missed out on so much magic that we got to experience here. Okay, I got to tell about an experience we had on the beach.
Okay, so
So,
now we're going to find out who's Thelma, who's Louise, and who was Brad Pitt. Who was Brad Pitt on the beach? Which one of you hooked up?
so this
So
is
what
the
happened?
one of the first days. So I'm like, "Come on, Karen, let's go." And so we head to the beach and we went into, I go, "We got to stop at Walgreens." So we stop at Walgreens and we buy, I'm like, "Oh my gosh." You know, I'm like, "We want these streamers. They're rainbow streamers on a string, right? And the wind's blowing. So it's rainbow, right? You can, woo." And I said, "We're going to do something with this on the beach. We're going to bring to the beach with us." So we bring them. All of a sudden we stop and we feel compelled to do a, let's say, ceremony,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
And we're doing whatever it is the heck we're doing. I don't care. It's there. And so we do it and then we're like, "Okay, this is complete." And then it was her birthday. So I said, "Okay, Karen, I'm going to take you to the Pink Hotel. We'll have an afternoon latte or something for
Mm.
a treat, you know?" And she's like, she goes, "Oh, okay." So she's going, and I'm right outside the Pink Hotel. Is this? They definitely, there's a production crew there. They were doing a movie or something there, And so there's this model in a bikini on the beach, and there's this professional photographer, like taking pictures. Oh, and before that, right before we walked up, I said, I keep hearing total eclipse of the heart. So I YouTube it. I have it playing on my iPhone. Okay. I'm walking around with total eclipse of the heart on my iPhone playing. So all of a sudden, I'm walking, and the next thing I know, again, there's no thinking on my part. I go right into the middle of their photo shoot.
She doesn't say a word. She just exits stage left into the photo shoot.
And I go up to the model and I go, here, how would you like to use this?
Oh my God.
And you know what was so beautiful? And I'm playing Total Eclipse of the Heart, right? It was unspoken. It's like she did not hesitate. She grabbed it and she went right back into pose, and the wind was blowing. Now the photographer's on the ground getting all these great, just go.
This is how it works, though. This is how it works.
You could see it lock in. You could see the energy lock into her soul. You could see how her eyes changed. The whole movement of her body changed. It was incredible. And the photographer noticed it, and anyone on that, that crew noticed it, and they just went with it. It was just like a total release.
This is how it works. I see us like, I see us like, it, like as a metaphor, like we're walking around in a Forrest Gump bubble, right? Like you watch the movie Forrest Gump. I mean, it's like he's anointed, like he's protected. He still has a childlike innocence, he has the curiosity, he has that's, you can't describe it, right? And then there's a bubble around him, which makes him impervious to the illusion, right? And then I see like our bubbles getting bigger and bigger and bigger, almost like a flower of life thing, right? If you visualize it.
Yeah.
And that to me that exemplifies that description that I futilely tried to give you, but that's what it is. Look, we were coming back from Sedona in October, and we stopped at a hotel, and it was a small town. It was a small town, and so we had this beautiful sister donated a bus to us, right? 1970 something, and we have it here. We're gonna try to fix it up if once the abundance comes in. But anyway, so we stopped, and I had to go outside to like check it. And Morgan, she was on the phone. We've been in the car, so we're just outside talking to people on the phone. And there was this guy who was on a motorcycle, on a Harley, this old polecat. He's about 65 years old. Willie Nelson face, and Chesterfield hanging out of his mouth, and a cocktail in the other hand, and he's sitting on this. And we were sitting there, and I was a little bit fatigued from driving, and I was sitting there just chilling out. And Morgan said, "You should go do a show with him." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." But these are the moments. So we ended up having this show, well, this video, this live, and we just talked. There was nothing prefaced, nothing. And during the video, he tells me how he protects himself because he's too old now to fight, and he pulls a gun out. I mean, but it was all so pure. It was, and that's what I'm saying. Like she reminded me in that moment of the opportunity, because he was like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?" I'm like, "I'm good." I'm more like, "Leave me alone." I don't want to talk to people. I'm in my typical empath intro mode right now. People, I don't do people. And then she reminded me, "Go for it." And that's exactly, and actually your example is even better because it's more like you don't even know what you're doing. You just do it. Right.
There are so many examples where she is just led to walk up to these, people, and at this point, I'm convinced she knows everyone from a past life.
She goes, so everybody on the beach is a past life for you, Julie.
Right. Very true.
But it also was a great remembering experience for Karen, because I know she has held back in the past, and there's nothing like seeing that it works,
Yeah.
you know, and that it's like, wow. Wow. And I know there was part of her is like, I know, horrified that I was doing it. And because then she was associated with me. But but it was like all the stars lined up in that moment.
Yeah.
We didn't have to have words exchanged. And when she was complete, she just said, thank you. I grabbed it and we just continued on our way.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like it was scripted in a way, soul scripted, I guess,
Yeah.
apparently. So, and then we proceeded to go up to the hotel, and I see these two surfboards, and I'm like, "Come on, Karen, let's just do a selfie in front of them."
Yeah, I saw that.
And so then, what was interesting is I don't even know where this couple came from because it was cold and it really people weren't really out. All of a sudden, this young gal goes, "Oh, how about if I take the picture for you?" I go, "Perfect." And so then we do, you know, we're doing their thing, and she's just clicking, right? And because of those pictures, that gifted me to create that video. And you can not, I don't know how you can watch that and not connect with joy.
No, you had no. That's that's what I was telling everybody at the first of the show. You got to go to your page and watch that video, and see these two things. So these moments, however they're captured, I think personally, the more frequencies that are involved, the more powerful, the more potential it has. Although it could have tremendous frequency just with a musical sound or tone, but these real moments captured like that, like I was talking about with the remix, they're just gold. It doesn't even matter what you're talking about.
No.
Right.
You could be talking about, here's my favorite meal. Let me show you how I cook it. My grandmother gave me the recipe, and no, it's just this truth frequency. And then again, where there's two or more, it becomes more expanded. And the other thing you said, I got to bring back up, is about Karen and people like Karen. And I would say up until a few months ago, mostly women, and it is mostly women, but there are more men stepping up. And I'm not talking about the old macho alpha male. I'm talking about this, the divine masculine energy, or let's say the masculine incarnate with a more balanced masculine, feminine within, however you want to put it. But they've been reluctant. They don't want to step up. And that's okay, and it's understandable because of all the shit that has been embedded into our DNA, women being burned at the stake and so on. I don't need to go on. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. But I really feel like that's the big one, is when people like this, like the Karens and the Morgans, they step up, and because they're so powerful, it's kind of like walk softly with a big stick. You know what I mean? Like they don't say much, but when they say something, you might want to listen. It's like you go to a party and everyone's talking, but if you really want to know what's happening, go to the person in the corner who's observing everybody. You know what I mean? My stepmother was.
They usually, when they do speak, it's something very profound.
Absolutely, but I think that's as a energetic force. I think that's like the straw that breaks the camel's back this year. Is like the more of that we see, it just grows like a wildfire, you know. And because that's a powerful thing. In fact, last night we went to sleep, Morgan didn't channel very much, but she said something, and I just remembered this along those lines. She was talking about true power, and and this is again her higher aspect coming in. I can always tell by her voice. And it said that true power doesn't have to speak, right? And then it went on to say true power, you know, listens and learns and observes. And this is the energy I'm talking about, you know. And I've had enough conversations with Karen, like, because I didn't really know her. I mean, I was in and out. We did the show. I'm in and out. I see her the next day. We hugged, but there's this, you know, like there's something going on here beyond the synchronicity. And I think it's a common frequency that lives within all of us that has been suppressed due to the history and all that stuff, due to the story, that's making a reemergence. And I'm here to support it. because I'm a little bit tired. I see that too in 2021. People are a little bit tired, but also it's also somehow innately you just know we've flipped this thing and just keep on trucking.
Right.
Right.
And there's a great song from the Hercules animated movie called "I Will Go the Distance," and that is, if you require some recharging, let's say, listening to that song is just, to me, that is like, yes, I will go the distance.
Yeah.
I don't care how it looks. I will do what is there, no matter how it looks. I say yes.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. I remember I had a rough night a couple nights ago. We had an awesome 3-day period after this 2021 22. There was a lot of stuff happening. It was very cool. Uh, One of the things I've noticed is, when these big ones come in, it can really knock you for a loop. Like you can't just get up and go out and do your normal thing. But I was feeling I was in two occasions. One when I was laying next to Morgan at night when we do our thing, and the other one I was laying on the bathroom floor, throwing up my groceries, right? Because it was all energy. But in both cases, I remember feeling like, oh my God, I don't think I can do this. And then I just remember this new level of I surrender. And I just did what you said earlier. I gave it a voice. I surrender. I mean, I literally was out of my body. My physical body was like totally in mutiny, revolting, like, going into terror. But that other part of me was going, I surrender this. Like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen to me? Right? Is that even a true, does that even have any meaning? Does worse even exist in the 5D dictionary? Or you know what I mean? So yeah, it's good. It's good talking to y'all. It's good
Oh,
talking to y'all.
hard hugs to you and Morgan and all.
You guys,
Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you. I love you both very much.
Love you.
It's a,
Yeah.
it's a, yeah. It's just some things you can't put to words.
That's right.
So, but you guys do your best to behave while you're still hanging out with each other, Thelma and Louise. Beware all the young studs on the beach. Hope you don't have if you have a convertible and you're driving down the road, I'm going to be really, really. But you guys have fun and drive.
Anytime. Remember that.
Okay, I appreciate that. As cold as it is, believe me, we've been talking about what do we really want in life now. That's another thing that's popped up too, right? Like, what do you really want? And we're thinking, well, it sure was nice in Hawaii. There was no cold days, right? As cold as day, it was 70 degrees. But yeah, I appreciate that, Karen. Absolutely. Yeah, you never know. But you guys have a safe trip back home. And if there's anything I can do or Soulogy can do to expand awareness of what you're doing, just let me know. And on that note, I know that Julie, you do work, energy work. I'm not sure with Karen, but if you guys have anything that you're doing online, can you just kind of let us know what it is now and how we get in touch with you?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I do want to share. There was something that came in. I I just feel like everything's changing, and so much of how I'm asked to be is changing as well. And one of the things I do use to support people because it soothes the human,
Yeah.
and that's a quantum biofeedback. And it's a computer that reads all your energy fields: emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, and environmental. And it gives you pictures so that, I don't know, it just is, sometimes it's proof for the human, let's say. But there is these, you can scan, and it's mostly for, to me, it's the emotional that is requiring the support this year. So we can put and create just as a bottle vial, a spray bottle on there. It puts frequencies of whatever's required to support you balancing out emotionally,
Yeah.
and it looks at you outside of time. So there's stuff in our unconscious. Of course, we don't even have a clue what's in there. And so if anybody feels called to have a scan done or whatever you want to say, it just to me this helps bridge our human more fully with our soul until we can remember we can do this for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, it just kind of helps usher the human along. So what I do is I take a picture of your aura, which is kind of entertaining and fun. And then also there's your emotions show up in a chart form, which is fascinating. We can do it, Todd, too, later.
Yeah.
And then there might be some insights that your soul is speaking to me that just wants your human to be more aware of.
Wow.
And they're a suggested heart donation of 60, and the spray is 15. But what I want to say as a thank you is if anybody from the show, you know, just says, hey, Soulogy, that's all you have to say. That 15, I really would prefer you to donate to Todd and Morgan and the mission here.
Wow, that's cool.
So
Thank you.
You are well. This is my new one. You are so welcome.
So welcome. There you go.
So and people can just Facebook message me on Simple Alchemy, or
Simple
or
Alchemy.
they can email, whatever. Yeah.
So-
but I would love to give back.
Yeah. Simple. Wait. Let me put it on all the platforms while I'm live. Simple Alchemy.
Yeah.
On Facebook. Or
they can do they can email me at connectwithsimplealchemy@gmail.com. And maybe just so it's cleaner, I feel like they can I'll just take care of that transaction and then I'll do the donation over.
whatever you want to do. It's all good.
Yeah.
The main thing is people resonate with that to be able to contact you and do something like that.
Yeah.
And anything, we're in a pay it forward mode. We have been for 2+ years, and it works. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing how this whole thing works. So many indicators of what we're actually doing, and regardless of the distortions that tell us we're full of shit. Yeah, that's just not the way it works. I am soul. I love you, ladies.
I love you too.
Love you.
Bye,
Well,
everybody.
take care.
Thanks for coming.